Normally, in the world of YouTube, you start the video off with clickbait and an introduction that makes people really want to watch, but there's so many screwed up points of this video that I decided I would start off with the Bible and ammunition and pan to this, the destruction of a house. This is one of the weirdest, most screwed up evictions I've had. And I would love it if I could blame all of the problems associated with this rental on the trunk in the yard that we threw out that has the logo of the team up north. But this problem here is much more complicated than allegiance to a simple sports team, although I should point it out in the video because I'm a good Ohioan. This is a property that I did not put these people in here. An elderly landlord did, and he regretted it very quickly. When I purchased this property, I knew it was going to be a problem. These people had 7 total evictions against them prior to the point they moved in. Now take a note of the condition of this hallway. It'll be important in about 30 seconds, I totally promise. Alright, so this is my rental that I have been refused entry into for a very long time. And we're going to pause it right here, and I want you to take a good look at this plaster and lath ceiling because it plays a key role in our story time of the day. This tenant here had been claiming that they were doing significant amounts of work on the rental property, and that I, as a landlord, should pay for the work that this master craftsman had been performing. And one day, a few months ago, I received a receipt, and this is the actual receipt, I kid you not, I got from the gentleman that lived here prior. And he said, I've gone to Menards and I've spent a significant amount of money out of my own pocket. You owe me for labor and you owe me for the materials. And do you see any problems with this receipt? I'll give you a couple more seconds. All right, so number 1, he has sent me a receipt from Menards, which I've never heard of this company before. And he has an invalid purchase order that he's also sent over. And as you read the receipt, it continues to get more and more screwed up. Multiple spelling errors, but he actually took the effort to look up the SKUs. And I don't know about you, but he was claiming to patch just a small piece of drywall there. It was about maybe a 4-foot by 6-foot section. Nothing too terribly huge. And he wanted essentially 2 months free rent in the property here for the purchase order. And we have a wonderful round of back and forth on emails going back between me and him, saying to the tenant that he is lying to me and trying to provide false receipts. He's going on and on that Menards actually misspelled their name on accident and misspelled multiple items, and that it's not a digital MS Paint receipt, that it is a legitimate one somehow that I have been emailed by accident. And when we had our court case about 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas, he tried to tell the judge that my amount was wrong, that I mischarged him because there were 2 free months that I gave him for the receipts that you saw turned in, along with the email copies that I had sent him saying no, no, no. So every time I get an eviction, it's like opening up a very dirty present to find out what happened with the property, what kind of condition it's in, what kind of problems it has. And in this one, which I know I'm going to get a lot of retribution about, it's a disaster. And part of the reason it was such a disaster was the tenant had 2 extravagantly large dogs in here that he refused to remove from the property, dogs that would eat you. And even me as a bigger fella, they were not animals that I ever wanted to deal with. And if you notice the crib here, yes, there was a child involved, a little 1-year-old boy that was removed from the house just as the police showed up. So this kind of avid squalor, a kid was living in, and broken glass, and you'll see the pipes and baggies of pills and all sorts of stuff. And yes, CPS is involved, but no. Here's the police officer. If you notice, there's actually an officer behind him. They are very concerned as to what little things they may find in this location. The tenant here had lights upstairs on a third story that we could not locate in the very short times that we were allowed in the property. And as the police are here looking through, my maintenance man uncovers a set of stairs. I tell him to be careful. I don't want him to get hit in the head like Chevy Chase from Christmas Vacation. That is certainly my concern. The bailiff here, who says he will write a book someday, which I truly hope he does, is going up here to investigate what disaster's up here. I have a feeling they were cooking something up here, or they were growing something, because you could see lights from the street, and there's a ginormous piece of plywood to cover the window. So I don't know what illicit activity was going on up here, but something was going on, and it's very uniquely wired from this master craftsman. Once again, if you'll notice, there's multiple splice into multiple splice, tap upon tap, totally to the electrical code, and totally not a fire hazard. Now, I looked all over this place for a live, laugh, love decal, and this is the best that I could do. It says welcome with deer antlers. Now, I realize that my style and brand of YouTube videos is kind of different from most of the financial videos. Everybody talks about wonderful, happy things, and I talk about little baggies with white things in them and broken Christmas bulbs that people are using to consume the rock. But if you don't want to do all this or figure out a really totally wonderful way of making money, I would recommend that you sign up in the description below to Weeble, and you can get 2 free stocks. It also helps out the channel if you follow all the directions and make a deposit.
The landlord
with them.
is responsible for
ETFs
safekeeping
to everybody like Vanguard.
Trash.
You can do very, very well, earn money, and you don't have to deal with this stuff. So we shot this video in a couple different stages today because it was a live eviction, and at this point everything had kind of calmed down. The bailiffs had left and essentially gave me possession of everything in the property. Ohio state law says the landlord has to set out all the personal possessions of value on the street. Anything that's not considered junk or garbage is to be put on the street so that the tenant can have access to it. To remove from the property. So I'm doing this as kind of what amounts to a final walkthrough, and then I discover things that the bailiff missed because they try to remove any substances in the property that might be illegal, and I think to a large extent they were just kind of overloaded. I've already had 2 contractors in this property since I shot it, and they are assuring me that they can get it fixed really quick. And as the overwhelming problem here is electrical work and dirt. Not that we're not going to tear everything out, we are, but just due to the size, I think it's going to be a pretty quick rehab. But it's always totally depressing to me to see how a screwed up tenant can go through a property and destroy it as quickly as these people have. They were only in here maybe 2.5 years. As of this point, I'm just going through and seeing what interesting things that I can find in the property. It's a situation where the bailiff has said, essentially, Brandon, from this point on, everything in the house is yours. So now I'm responsible for removing it, but I also don't have to pay my crew or a crew to remove this stuff immediately. I can remove it essentially on my own time, which is cool. As I go through this, I never cease to be amazed at the number of internet routers, cable modems, and things like this. I don't know if people feel there's a value to taking one that belongs to Spectrum, but it feels like these houses are just completely full of them. I would love for somebody to come by and just take the modems out of these houses, but every time I call, no one shows up. So here we are. If I could get $50 a piece for them, I think I'd be rich, but of course they're tracked and whatnot. So at this point, like I said, we're doing a walkthrough on the house, and I'm just seeing what kind of disaster I've got myself into. like I have said probably several times already in this video, the individual wanted to charge me for all these wonderful, glorious, fantastic repairs, essentially wanting to pay rent. He's the one that did this brick or stone facade, which on the surface looks pretty cool till you start looking at the grout lines. And then right here he used foam insulation to seal it up with rather than grout. So it's a grout to foam insulation transition, like that great stuff insulation you buy at the store. He ripped out the door casing. I don't know why. The bathroom's not totally screwed up. Yes, it looks pretty awful, but it's not that bad. They went through the effort and put tile in the bathroom that looks like wood, but somehow they managed to destroy it and crack it. We opened this up and it was full of wonderful glass pipes. There's an X-Acto knife there. I don't know what that nut and bolt is, but it's there. And then we get in these drawers, and the drawers are full of wonderful, wonderful inventions. I don't know what it is about DVDs, but these houses are always full of DVDs. I could start my own Redbox copy, just completely full of DVDs that I find. It's just one of those things. It's DVDs, pennies, and internet routers. So if you're filling out the Discord bingo game that we've invented for each episode, there's a lot of things you can mark off the list here in between people with a rock, modems, pennies, and things of that nature, and adult-oriented media material. And the treasure trove's kind of down here. There is a little pink ammo box, and it's completely full of pipes, or at least there's quite a few pipes in it, quite a few lighters in it. And here is the thing of Bubby's pennies. I imagine it's a mason jar they're trying to save maybe for their kids' college fund, and they've had essentially 3 months to prioritize what they want to remove from this house. And I would think it would be kid stuff and then your substances, but it was tools. They prioritized tools over the kids' stuff, the pipes. And it just absolutely breaks my heart as a father with 4 children to see all these kids' stuff. The kids' stuff gets left, the tools, which if they were using them to work with, I think that I would have a little more sympathy. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars spent on media. And still, they can't pay rent, they can't take care of the house. And here I am. We'll eventually get this fixed up and in the hands of a useful tenant that won't tear it up. It'll cost me some money. Once again, this is Brandon with Investment Joy. Thanks for taking a trip to my eviction today. I survived it and did the voiceover comfortably sitting at my office. Be sure to like and subscribe and sign up to Webull for some free stocks. Thank you very much.